Michael had lived in his quiet countryside home for 5 peaceful years, surrounded by golden fields and whispering pines. That Saturday morning, he woke to the deep rumble of engines echoing through his valley. When he stepped outside, his heart froze. 3 full buses were driving down his private dirt road, dust flying everywhere. People were waving, laughing, and carrying folding chairs and coolers. Michael blinked in disbelief. This wasn't a public park, this was his land. Then he spotted her, Karen, HOA president. Her bright floral hat bobbed as she waved toward the crowd, acting like the hostess of a grand event. Michael shouted, "Karen! What is this?" She smiled sweetly. "Oh, Michael, it's just our annual HOA picnic. You've got the perfect space, so I took the liberty to host it here." He was speechless. She had no permission, not even a warning. His driveway now looked like a carnival, with hundreds of strangers stomping on his grass. He felt anger and disbelief boiling inside him. Something told him this wasn't just about a picnic, this was about control. And Karen had just declared war. By noon, chaos ruled his backyard. Children splashed in his pond, parents grilled on his patio, and Karen was directing traffic like she owned the land. "Keep the buses parked near the fence," she shouted. Michael's jaw tightened. His private property, his sanctuary, had become an HOA amusement park. He took photos, recording everything. When he approached Karen again, she turned dramatically. "Michael, don't be so uptight. The HOA board voted that this space benefits the community. You should feel proud." Michael clenched his fists. "You had no right," he said. But Karen waved him off. "Relax. You'll get over it." The smell of smoke hit his nose. Someone had lit a fire pit on his lawn. That was it. He walked back to his cabin, heart pounding. He knew one thing: this would not end here. Behind the curtains, he opened his laptop and began writing an email to the county enforcement department. If Karen wanted a war of rules, then he would fight by the book. The next morning, the land was quiet but littered with plastic cups, broken decorations, and muddy footprints. Michael's chest ached seeing the damage. His wildflowers were trampled, the grass scorched. A text from Karen popped up: "Thanks for hosting." It was a huge success. HOA loved it red heart. That emoji almost made him laugh bitterly. He replied simply, "This was private property. Expect legal notice." Within hours, she was knocking at his door. "Legal notice? Don't be ridiculous." She snapped, but her tone had lost its confidence. "You can't call enforcement on your own neighbors." Michael's calm stare unnerved her. "Watch me," he said. 2 days later, county enforcement officers arrived, inspecting the property lines and damage. Karen stood with crossed arms, still pretending innocence. But when the officer said, "Ma'am, this area is clearly outside HOA jurisdiction," her face paled. The first crack had appeared in her perfect control. Karen didn't back down easily. The next week, Michael started receiving HOA fines in his mailbox for unkept landscaping, unauthorized fencing, and poor community spirit. He almost laughed. The woman was weaponizing bureaucracy. He photographed every letter and emailed the county again, attaching his property deed and GPS coordinates. Karen wasn't ready for what came next: a formal county notice summoning her for trespass and unauthorized event use. When she received it, her voice echoed across the neighborhood: "He's lying. He's trying to ruin me." But her usual audience was silent. Michael stayed calm. He installed new surveillance cameras at the entrance and reinforced the gate with a coded lock. He knew Karen would try again. Sure enough, that Friday night, motion alerts pinged his phone. Headlights, several of them, approaching. She was back. And she wasn't alone. 3 cars rolled up to the gate. Karen, her husband, and a few HOA members stepped out, flashlights slicing through the night. "Open up, Michael. We're holding a meeting here tomorrow, HOA property rights," she yelled. Michael, sitting in his truck nearby, spoke through his megaphone. "Not this time, Karen." He pressed the remote, click, and the heavy metal gate locked in place. They tugged and shouted, but it wouldn't budge. "You can't do this!" she screamed. "I already did," Michael said. He filmed everything, making sure the lights captured her angry face as she rattled the fence. "County enforcement will see this too," he added. Her husband's voice trembled. "Let's go, Karen." The power dynamic had shifted. That night, for the first time, Michael slept peacefully, knowing the law was finally on his side. But he didn't know. The storm was far from over. A week later, the county hearing took place. Michael stood calmly before the panel, his photos and videos laid neatly in a folder. Karen arrived in designer sunglasses, trying to project confidence. But as the officers played the footage, the buses, the crowds, the trespass, her posture wilted. The county officer turned to her. "Mrs. Lewis, you had no legal right to use Mr. Harper's property. This constitutes an unauthorized public event." She tried to defend herself, saying, "We're a community. It's for everyone." But the officer's next words silenced the room. HOA rules end where private property begins. The verdict? Karen was fined $12,000 for property damage and misuse of authority. Her HOA privileges were suspended for 6 months. As Michael walked out of the building, Karen's furious glare followed him, but behind that anger, there was fear. The game she started had ended in her defeat. Summer arrived again, and for the first time, Michael's land was peaceful. The grass had regrown, the pond sparkled, and his new metal gate gleamed in the sunlight, with a sign that read, "Private land, no trespassing without permission." One afternoon, he saw Karen walking by, carrying a small envelope. She paused at his fence and softly said, "I came to apologize." Michael stayed silent as she placed the letter on the gate. Inside it, a handwritten note: "I was wrong. I thought I owned everything. Turns out, I lost what mattered most, respect." He smiled faintly, folded the note, and placed it inside his jacket. As he watched her walk away, the gate clicked shut behind her, not in anger, but in closure, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.